Welcome to ESPN's High School Football Scoreboard Show's YouTube channel. Tonight is our RPI show. We do this every Tuesday. Tonight is October 15th show, which is episode 2. We're at Graffiti Junction in College Park. I'm Heath Ziglar. This is Baylin Trujillo. Tonight, besides trying some of the great food from Graffiti Junction, we're also going to be looking at the RPI points, who's in, who's out. There's already been some movement today. It looks like there's some new teams that are going to be in the mix for these wild card spots, Baylin.
Yeah, man. After looking at some of the new teams in there and obviously updated RPI points and teams in where they're supposed to be in the spots, I actually like what I'm seeing here. Teams are starting to fall into place exactly where we thought they would be. It's starting to make a little bit more sense, especially after Friday night's games. Heath, I'm really excited to get into more of the regions and seeing how teams line up. Who has a possibility of being in, who's in now, who might be on the verge of winning a district championship, who's right there on the outskirts. So Heath, as we go through it, man, let's just find out where all these teams are all lined up at.
Yeah, and a little sneak peek, there's one district out there right now that technically has 4 teams making the playoffs. Wow. We haven't had that scenario yet since we've gone to the RPI points or the point system from last year. So it'll be interesting to see if that holds true. But let's go get into it. Let's go start with 8A, Region 1. At number 1, Baylin, no surprise, Seminole High School is at the top of Region 1. They were at number 1 last week. They hold firmly there. At number 3 in the region is Apopka High School. No surprise there that they are up at the top. Just as a quick side note, Flagler Palm Coast, Spruce Creek, and DeLand are all in that district with Seminole. That means right now, if the playoffs were to start today, you'd have 4 teams making the playoffs from one district.
I want to be in that district.
Yeah, we have not seen that happen yet, but that's what the RPI is designed to do. It's designed to get the best teams in regardless of district. They don't want to penalize teams for having easy or hard districts. So that's what a scenario that we're going to have to keep an eye on going forward. At the number 7 spot, a little bit of a surprise. Timber Creek High School climbs up another spot, getting a little bit more comfortable inside the top 8, which is kind of the magic number for RPI. Right behind them is West Orange High School. So technically right now they are in as a wild card team. Baylin, the number 9 team, is the team that we have seen go from 13 all the way up to number 9. Winter Park High School, right on the outside looking in. Baylin, what are your thoughts on Winter Park and where they stand now coming into the end of the season?
Yeah, well, Winter Park stands really good. I think that they have the best chance right now on the outside teams in 8A to get into the top 8. They have a big district game against Colonial and then Timber Creek next week, who's obviously in the top 8. That'll be a big-time matchup. Again, Timber Creek still has to go through a good Oviedo team, so we'll see how that lines up. But yes, Winter Park is a team that we're looking out for. Still my predicted winner in that district, but they're right there on the outskirts of number 9, trying to climb their way in the top 8.
So Lake Mary sitting down at the number 12-13 spot. Do you see Lake Mary as a potential or as a possibility of still getting up into that top 8?
That's going to be tough, Heath. We talked all year about 2 teams from that district going into the playoffs. Lake Mary, again, is at that 12-13 spot behind West Orange and Apopka. It's going to be really hard for Lake Mary to get into it because I think those are the 2 best teams in that district. But you never know. Lake Mary does still have a shot, but it's going to be pretty tough.
All right, just to recap, you got Seminole at number 1, Apopka at number 3, Timber Creek is at number 7, and West Orange is at number 8 inside the top 8, and Winter Park is lurking right there on the outside looking to grab one of those coveted spots. Moving on to Class 8A, Region 2. But before we do that, Baylin, let's thank Graffiti Junction for providing us with these awesome flatbreads. These are new menu items that they have. I'm going to be doing the pepperoni flatbread. Baylin, which one are you doing?
The veggie flatbread. Got to stay in shape, Heath.
Of course. So I look like the fat guy today. So that's all good. Let's move on to 8A, Region 2. The number 2 team in the region is Dr. Phillips High School.
DP.
Yep, no surprise there. They're going to win their district. They're sitting at 6-2. Comfortably inside with the RPI, so DP is definitely going to be punching their ticket to the playoffs. The number 6 team, Osceola High School, sitting at 6-1. They are also inside the magic number of top 8 in the RPI. And then a little surprise here. The last team that is barely squeaking in right now in Region 2 in Class 8A is Lake Nona High School. Now, Lake Nona does play Osceola later on in the season. I still see Osceola winning that game. However, that game could help Lake Nona because of the opponents that Osceola has played this year. So Lake Nona right now, if the playoffs were to begin, it looks like they would be getting a wild card bid. Yeah. So I know Coach Paradiso would be happy about that. Baylin, what are your thoughts on Lake Nona being inside the top 8? We didn't really expect 2 teams to come out of this district.
Well, looking at the teams now, I mean, now I see why. I mean, there's a couple teams right there on the fence that or that I would think wouldn't be in. So Lake Nona is definitely one of the best teams available to make the top 8 in that region. I like Lake Nona and what they're doing. They're a high explosive offense. They're scoring a lot of points. But again, do they really play anybody? We'll figure out who they are when they play Osceola. They've already got beat pretty handily against a good Winter Park team. But I think Lake Nona, rightfully so, is in the top 8. But again, Heath, they play Osceola in the next couple of weeks. But I still think even if a loss at Lake Osceola, I still think
they still get in.
They get in, yeah.
The weird thing with Lake Nona is they have a very poor opponent's winning percentage.
Right.
Like you said, their strength of schedule is probably questionable, right?
Right.
But their opponent's strength of schedule is off the charts.
Yes.
It's actually one of the highest in the actual area.
Right.
So that third component of the RPI is actually saving Lake Nona right
yes.
now. And Lake Nona is able to stay afloat and being at the number 8 spot. One last little side note before we move on. Tampa Plant is actually at the number 11 spot.
Crazy.
11 spot in the region. They're a 1-16.
1-6, guys.
So this is that crazy thing when you get into RPI and points like we had last year, is we have these scenarios where we have a 1-6 Plant team because their strength of schedule is so difficult.
Yeah.
They are actually at the number 11 spot, which is only 3 spots
make
behind Lake Nona,
Yep.
and they can still technically win out and maybe get a wild card bid
crazy.
going 3-7. So we'll have to stay tuned to watch this region and see how that unfolds. Just to recap, Dr. Phillips is at number 2, Osceola is at number 6, Lake Nona rounds out number 8. That'll do it for Region 2 and 8A football. All right, moving on to 7A Region 1. At the very top of that list, there's no surprise, Baylin. Edgewater High School is holding strong at the top there. The number 4 team in that region is actually from the same district as Edgewater. That's Wekiva High School. Kind of surprised to see Wekiva and Edgewater so high up at the top together. And then that really kind of rounds out the local teams that are in currently. Right. Now, Baylin, I want to talk about the number 10 team, which is just on the outside looking in, that magic number 8. East River High School is actually in a better position RPI-wise over Lake Howell and Winter Springs.
Right.
The Winter Springs is kind of in the driver's seat right now because of the Lake Howell victory.
Right.
So it's interesting to see that according to the RPI, they have East River actually as the best team that has a chance to make the playoffs as a wild card. I don't know if they could likely make it as a district champion unless there was a 3-team playoff. But if there was a 3-team playoff, I guess they would be the team that would get it.
Well, according to what we've been seeing in the RPI points, it does look like East River can potentially win that district, but I think Lake Howell will end up going over them if they were to do the 3-way tiebreaker. Let's say Lake Howell does beat a Lyman team and then East River beats Winter Springs, who is in the driver's seat as of right now, which they would punch their ticket if they won the district outright. But East River, again, 2 spots away from being in the top 8. They must take care of business against Winter Springs, and if Lake Howell somehow loses to an 0-7 Lyman team, they might punch their ticket in the top 8. So that should be interesting. That's probably my favorite district to look at. But like you said, Edgewater is in the top of that one.
Yeah, so just to recap, Edgewater High School is coming in at number 1 in Region 2. And we have Wekiva High School at number 4. Those are the 2 local teams that are currently right now inside the top 8 for the RPI. All right, quickly, let's take a look at Region 2 and 7A. There's just a few teams that we want to talk about. One being Lakeland High School is in at number 2. The interesting thing about that is Lakeland's undefeated,
right?
And they're behind Sefner Armwood, who's 6-1.
Opponents, Heath.
And so that's where this RPI, like if you really break it down, it really matters who you play. If you don't believe it, look at what's going on with Lakeland. They're an 8-0 team right now, and they're actually ranked below Armwood in the RPI. So the state believes that Armwood has a better case to be higher in the RPI than Lakeland, which is a powerhouse team. So the schedules, the team you play, and the teams you play matters. So that's just one little thing we wanted to talk about for this Region 2 and 7A. Also, St. Cloud High School comes in at number 8.
Right at 8.
They are just inside Baylin. That would be a cool story for St. Cloud.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're having a great start to their season. They had the loss to Osceola, the bad loss.
Right.
But it'd be cool if they could limp in and still get a wild card spot.
Yeah, they actually have a good game this week against Vieira, who comes in at the number 5 spot in the top 8. So it looks like the winner of that game might control their destiny into the final spot in the top 8. But should be interesting stuff there. So we'll see, Heath, how it all plays out. But yeah, Lakeland at number 2.
Yeah, Vieira, Melbourne, St. Cloud, all in the same district, right there at the top 8 of this region. It'll be interesting to see who gets in and who gets out.
Yep.
On to 6A Region 1. Real quickly, just a couple side notes. Just a few local teams are actually in the mix still.
Right there.
And it looks like New Smyrna Beach is in at number 7. And you have Baylin High School, who is right on the outside looking in at number 9. But the cool thing is, Baylin, guess who plays this weekend?
Each other.
Yeah, that's right. So they will be playing each other. And I have a feeling that whoever wins that game is likely going to be the only team that represents Region 1 from our market.
Totally
so
agree.
whoever wins New Smyrna Beach Mainland, looks like you're going to punch your ticket this weekend. So good luck to you
so if
guys.
you're out there, go to that game.
Yeah,
Trust me, it's like a playoff.
That'll be the game to be at this weekend for sure for 6A football on the coast. Okay, let's move on to 5A Region 2, and that's going to be the one that includes Jones High School, who's going to be up at the top of the list there. That also includes Bishop Moore, who's at the number 4 spot. So Jones and Bishop Moore, both in the same district, both right now inside that magic number of top 8 in RPI. So they're both looking good, obviously. Jones is obviously going to make the playoffs. They're going to be in. They're going to win that district. Bishop Moore is looking really solid for a wild card berth. I don't see anything happen that's going to change that. But I do want to bring up a kind of an interesting note. Coach Gary Duggar out at Tavares High School has them in the number 9 spot. They're literally one RPI spot away from being inside the top 8, which would give that district a third team in the playoffs.
But they still got to play Jones.
They still have to play Jones, but because of the RPI, playing Jones and losing could actually be a helpful thing because you're going to get and Jones has played some good schools too, so you're going to get the opponent's boost. You're going to get an opponent's boost. And then obviously, likely Tavares loses to Jones, but I still think that doesn't really move them down at all in the RPI. So hats off to Gary Duggar and Tavares High School for being in the conversation this late in the year in his first season. Okay, last classification of the night is going to be 4A for the local market. We're going to have to go to Region 2 for this, and that's going to be Cocoa High School is sitting at the number 1 spot. Baylin, I know you're familiar with this program quite a bit. I don't see them losing that number 1 seed. The great thing about where they sit right now, they would be getting a first-round bye.
Right.
So talk to me a little bit about Cocoa and where they sit now.
Yeah, I think that they're going to repeat and go to that state championship. As simple as that, Heath.
You're calling it here?
Yeah, I'm calling it right here, and I've been saying it since week 1. I think Cocoa has the easiest road out of every team we talked about today, and pretty much every team we will remain talking about throughout the RPI shows. I think Cocoa, being in 4A, they're going to walk to the state championship game. I don't know if they're going to win the state championship. I'm not going to call it a state championship win, even though if I had to predict, I'm probably going to ride with them the rest of the season. But I do believe Cocoa with DJ Arroyo, Josias Holmes, I think that they roll into the state championship game, especially with only 6 teams going to the playoff in that region. I just don't see no team in that region beating them. So, yeah, Heath, I think Cocoa's got a cakewalk.
I bet Lakewood and American Heritage would have something to say about your prediction, but for the local market, Cocoa, right now, you're at the top of the 4A Region 2 rankings. Good luck to you guys. Okay, that's going to do it for episode 2 of the RPI Playoff Show. We want to thank Graffiti Junction for the food that they brought out for us. They've been nothing but a great sponsor to us. So every Tuesday, if you go to our Twitter account, you can find the link to the YouTube video for the RPI show between 3:30 and 4:30. That's every Tuesday on our Twitter account. So go check it out. We'd love you to like and subscribe. On behalf of ESPN's High School Football Scoreboard Show, I'm Heath Ziglar. That's Baylin Trujillo. This was the RPI show.